All right, Jennifer, let's start with you, and then Alysson will let you go after Jennifer's done. So Jennifer, what have you been doing?
Okay, well, hopefully I don't freeze up here, but you know, we're doing it all. We're fundraising, we're sign placing. If anybody lives in Lemon Grove and wants a sign, please let us know. Alysson and I are basically trying to cover all of Lemon Grove together, so we're supporting each other. And you know, my shtick is I'm council member Jennifer Mendoza, running for re-election, and my neighbor Alysson is running as well. And you know, I talk about our longevity in the community, and just you know, I tell people we're running together because we have similar concerns and aspirations for the city of Lemon Grove. And I remind everybody that they get to vote for both of us. There's 2 seats. They can vote for 2 people, and we're who they should vote for. And one thing that Alysson and I think are both doing is we're opening the door. And instead of me just telling people what I think I want them to hear, we're asking them, what are your concerns? And we talked about this a little bit before the meeting started, and it kind of differs neighborhood to neighborhood. But a lot of it is people's concerns are very consistent. And, you know, sometimes being a city council member, I hear, you know, people come to council meetings and are very vocal about what they want, but that doesn't seem to be what the majority of Lemon Grove citizens want, and that's really what we have to listen to. So you know, I love to have people help and walk with me, but I think the more one-on-one contact is as much, you know, Alysson and I, we can't do it all, but we need to do the majority of it, because the more one-on-one contact that we have, 1, we're going to know better what our constituents want, and 2, people are going to get to know us.
Well, Jennifer froze, so we're going to push it. We're going to give it over to Alysson, because then Alysson can talk, because then we fill the space. So Alysson, you're up. Alysson, you need to unmute. You're muted.
There we go. Okay. All right. Hi, I'm Alysson Snow. I'm running for Lemon Grove City Council, and it has felt like a whirlwind. A lot of door knocking, a lot of being out in the community, a lot of understanding the issues, not just in our local community, but what affects us, and what roles we can play in the larger areas around us. Just like Jennifer said, going door to door, asking people what their priorities are and what their needs are. It's remarkable how similar those things are. It's either homelessness then streets, or streets then homelessness, depending on the part of the neighborhood you're in. And since the 2 people were murdered here a couple weeks ago, or a couple days ago, public safety has come up now more often. A lot of people are really concerned about how dark it is here at night, and the tensions and the issues surrounding public safety, just all the way around, like from between kids walking to school and being safe while they walk to school, to too many assaults, and the downtown area not being particularly safe, and people don't want to shop or go down there after dark, because it's really dark down there. Right? So, and it's just great being a city council member, putting your feet on the ground, walking the same streets that all of our constituents have to walk, and realizing, yeah, these are the issues that we have in our community. As we're going door to door, I say, hi, I'm Alysson Snow. I'm going door to door talking to our neighbors, and I want to know what's going to make a better Lemon Grove for you. And so please share with me what makes a better Lemon Grove. And then they tell me, and then I introduce myself, that I'm a housing rights activist and lawyer, that I run the housing rights project at the University of San Diego's Law School. Tell them a little bit about what I do there, what the city can do, because a lot of them think that it's hopeless and that there's nothing we can do to solve the issues of homelessness and housing in our communities. But there are things that we can be doing, and sister cities are doing those things, and we can steal the best ideas from all of them and implement them here in our city. I talk about, everybody wants streets, sidewalks, and streetlights. And in order to get that, we need to increase our sales tax revenue. To increase our sales tax revenue, we've got to help out our businesses. That's just being clear. And then we also need to get out the information that our community is slightly cheaper to shop in. That we have a lower sales tax. Come spend your money here because it goes further. And everybody's looking for a little break right now with inflation. But those are some of the advertisements that we can get out there and communicate that Lemon Grove is a great place to shop and bring your money. Then we talk about bringing the types of businesses in.
I'm going to pause you 1 second because are other people having trouble hearing her?
Yes, Alysson, your sound has gotten like you're very distant, or like your microphone has shifted in some way.
Okay,
Either that or no, try turning your video off. Maybe it's, I know that's not ideal, but I'm wondering if it's a connection issue.
Okay, is that any better?
Yes, it's
That's
much better.
way better, yeah.
Okay, so when I go through and talk to them about what we can do to improve the businesses, when I went door to door to the businesses downtown, every single one of them, without fail, their top priority was homelessness. People are scared to come to their doors for the empty, vacant buildings or spaces. The homeless camp out there, they stay there overnight. And then there's no real business owner whose job it is to wash down the sidewalks and everything. So the smell is pretty strong. And so the business owners are really looking for solutions that way. And then I talk about bringing businesses that we need in our community, mental health care, urgent care clinics, different kinds of things like that, that our community needs that we don't have. And then people want the 99-cent store back, and they want Joanne fabrics back. So those are some of the things that I've encountered while we've been out there. I talk about, when I introduce Jennifer Mendoza, because I'm walking for her too. I say I'm walking for Jennifer Mendoza because I've never seen anybody live a life of service like she does. I say I'm a do-gooder, but she's next level. And I talk about how she's at the food bank distributions. She's worked so hard for the city. She was Governor of Lions Club. Like, those are incredible service relationships, and then that's just the kind of energy that this community needs. Is that service oriented? It's an amazing community for volunteerism, and she leads by example. And so that's while I'm going door to door, most of the doors have been extremely receptive. We of course are starting with the ones that are more likely to vote and are largely Democrat. So it's been actually kind of fun getting out there and meeting everybody. For us, I have listed on my website, snowforlemongrove.com, a list of events and activities that I have coming up this Saturday. We're going to be at 9 a.m. at South Royale. It's the Vietnamese restaurant over on Broadway by Burroughs and Fries and O'Reilly's.
Alysson, your sound is not good. How about if we take a moment and maybe we'll take some questions to Jennifer, okay, and see if maybe your sound comes back. So does anyone have any specific questions for Jennifer? We'll go to whoever's got the best connection at the moment.
I think that we should actually try to do questions to directed at both candidates, but right, if something specific to somebody comes up, then I think we can address it.
I was just hoping we could find the best connection, but it looks like Jennifer's frozen, so maybe that won't work. Oh no, Jennifer's back. Okay, yeah, we can take questions for both. Yeah, all right. We'll take questions for both, but we'll do our best with their connections then. So if you've got a question for the candidates, why don't you raise your hand, and we will take them in order of the raised hands.
Okay, and so while people are thinking about their questions, I did have a couple of questions that I wanted to ask to just kind of get the ball rolling. Okay. So we spoke a lot about homelessness. We spoke a lot about hearing from the constituents, but what is it that is, because we all have reasons in our heart why we run for whatever office, like this is what matters to me. And that doesn't mean all these other things don't matter, but like that was like the straw that kicked you over to like, okay, yes, I'm gonna do this. And so what is like your why? Like why are you running? Like yeah, what is, either candidate can go first, but like what is your big why? Like what got you over the edge from participating into the community to I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna run?
Mhm. Well, I think, you know, initially, I've always felt like if, you know, you need to get, if you have issues with something, you need to get involved, you know, be the change. Don't just be a complainer. And so many years ago, the city received a grant to build a new library, and the city voted 3-2 to send the grant back, to send the money back. This was like when I first moved to Lemon Grove, it was probably about 18 or 19 years ago. And I was just like, what the heck? Who sends back $11 million when we really needed a new library? And libraries are something that are very near and dear to my heart. So that's why I applied to be on the planning commission, was because of that decision. And I just felt like, well, you know what? I need to get involved. I need to get involved here because this isn't right. And you know, years later, we got a new library, and it was we were creating bond for that new library. Then when I ran for city council, the city decided to completely eliminate the recreation department. And that was another 3-2 vote. And that's something I want to differentiate between closing the recreation center, which has been in use. The recreation center has been in use all these years. It has not been closed. What the city voted to do was eliminate the recreation department. They laid everybody off, cut all the funding for recreation services, basically got rid of the recreation department. And I was just incensed. And that's what prompted me to run for city council. Now, as the years have gone by, you know, my motivation has changed, you know, as time goes on. And I think this time around, why do I still want to be on the city council? It's been 8 years. Why do I still want to do this? And so my motivation now is going to be way different than Alysson, who is a first-time candidate. My motivation now is to continue the trajectory that the council is on. And, you know, don't let people fool you. It's on our city is on a positive trajectory. And I want to keep that momentum going. And I think that we have other candidates that want to sabotage the efforts that we've made. And can we do better? Absolutely. And I'm not going to be complacent and just rest on the work that because we've come a long way in 8 years, from a recession to being in the black for two years in a row. And we're projected to be in the black again next year. So I want to keep that positive momentum, that positive trajectory going. So that's my motivation.
And my motivation is for 13 years, I ran the Consumer Protection Division over at Legal Aid Society of San Diego. And we would run bills and trying to find legislators to support our bills that would protect working families. So that was my focus. I came from a family that with both parents that worked hard, and they tried starting a business, it failed. And then our family experienced financial difficulties, which caused an incredible amount of stress on our family. And all my life, I've wanted to make sure that families have what they need to be able to not endure that kind of financial stress that can tear families apart. And so I worked hard for working families. We've got some great stuff done, but more recently it was increasingly difficult to find people who were as passionate about the same type of bills and diligent and dedicated to bringing them to the floor and trying to get them passed. And so I was like, I toyed with the idea of politics and started looking around. I've got 5 kids and 3 of them are still at home, 2 have spread their wings. And I want to still be able to like work in my local community, help my local community, and still work for change. And so here in Lemon Grove, this community has my heart. I've raised my 5 kids here. I love my neighbors. You cannot buy good neighbors. And seriously, going door to door, knocking on these doors has reaffirmed my faith in what it means to be a Lemon Grover and the kind of people that we're surrounded with. So those are some of the reasons why I decided to run. I have a skill set that can help. I've spent a lot of time working on housing issues. I've spent a lot of time working on consumer issues. And I think that right now, our community can really benefit from that as we're entering into some really hard financial times. The Fed's likely to jerk up the interest rates again to try and combat inflation. Inflation is not doing what they had hoped. And it's going to be some really tough financial times for families. And we need to have a council who's willing to tackle those issues and not get distracted by shenanigans and keep their eye on the ball on what it's going to take to make sure families can succeed in our community. That's it.
Wonderful. Do others have questions? I don't want to take the floor if I don't want to like hog all the time. I do sometimes have a tendency to do that. But I also want to touch on a few other things. I think one of you mentioned this already a little bit, but it was breaking up a little bit. So I want to dig a little deeper into it. I want to talk about what can this, I know we've passed Measure J, we've previously tried to pass Measure S. What can the city do to increase revenue so that we can meet the needs of our community members and help the unhoused, and like all these things cost money. So what can we do to increase funding? And for this one, I want to start with Alysson, just to switch it up.
So some of the ideas I have for increasing revenue is one, advertising and getting out there into the surrounding communities and letting them know their dollar goes further here in Lemon Grove. We have a lower sales tax rate, so come spend your money here. Come shop at our Albertsons, come shop at our Sprouts, come dink around in GTM for hours and enjoy your time here. Come and especially visit our car dealerships, since they're our 2 biggest sources of sales tax revenue. And get that message out. We also need to bring in the right types of businesses. And so really making a concerted effort to figure it out. What is it that our community needs? What are which businesses will bring in this kind of sales tax dollars we need to get that done? And then a lot of it is communication. So I think one of the problems with trying to pass Measure S is that the community at large lacks information, communication on how the prior tax dollars had been spent. And so there was a trust issue there. That's how I would describe kind of the message that I'm getting while I'm going door to door. I think people recognize now that it might have been short-sighted to not to not do that. But there's that constant, we want to know where our money's going. We want to know what it's helping. And quite frankly, like, we've done a lot. Like, there is some good news to put out there. And so I think part of that is getting that message out there that Lemon Grove is improving, that these sales tax revenues are increasing. And then finally, we have to support our businesses by addressing the homeless issue. It's something that's really, until we address that issue, those downtown businesses, I have say homelessness is their issue. And I've talked to people and they say, we don't shop in Lemon Grove because we don't feel safe there. Those are our own community members saying that. And so I want people to feel safe and energized and want to come spend their dollars in our own neighborhood. And so those are some of the items that I have on my list.
Go ahead, Jennifer. Was she frozen?
Hi.
Okay, I think we maybe are losing Jennifer. Okay, shh.
Am I back?
We are. There you are. There you are. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay, I'll try to make this quick before I buzz out again. So they that electronic billboard sign is bringing quite a bit of revenue in to Lemon Grove, and we hope to put up another one. And when we do put the sign up, we take 2 billboards down, 2 static billboards down. So it's sort of kind of a win-win billboard sign wise. But we're looking to double our income with those. We also have 2 more marijuana stores. We can't really call them dispensaries anymore because it's really just a store. There's not really anything medical connected with it anymore, but we still call them dispensaries. So I like to call it a store. But we have 2 more coming on. The 2 that we have generated quite a bit of income for the city. I think also Lemon Grove should look at, I've long thought we should look at a hotel in Lemon Grove, and maybe even 2. We could be like South Mission Valley. Look how easy it is to get from Lemon Grove to the airport or to the zoo or downtown. We could really bill Lemon Grove as just a destination to easily commute downtown for travelers. And then I had another one, and it has I proposed a tax increase before the 2020 election to go on the ballot, but I had it was a 5% or a half a cent, 5%, a half a cent tax increase, and we got 3 votes for it. And I was like, yay, 3 votes. And then Jerry Jones, who voted against it, whispered to me, you need 4 votes for a tax increase. It's like,
no. I think we lost you again, Jennifer. Danny, go ahead and ask your question. Oh, we have Jennifer back. Did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
Oh, I just want to say that's not off the table. I think a half cent sales tax might be doable with a sunset clause.
Awesome. Okay, Danny, go ahead and ask your question.
Right. I want to ask specifically about how we're being policed. I have to say that
the present, what is the city council and the mayor's relationship with the service that we're getting? I would submit that as a citizen here, I'm not really happy with it. They seem to be sparse, or there's 10 of them on one homeless person out there, and then we don't ever see them otherwise. So, generally speaking, can you speak to the whole policing out here in Lemon Grove?
Staffing varies, time of day. We have deputies, and we have traffic deputies, and then we have a community service officer. The community service officer he's mostly traffic. He works Monday through Friday, kind of like an 8 to 5 job. The deputies, of course, are on a rotating shift. During the day, you have at least one traffic deputy, and sometimes you have 2. And then the other deputies, there's always at least 2 and or 3, 2 or 3 deputies on duty at any time in Lemon Grove. There's 3 on duty on the weekends, and we'd like to bring more. The city has, in our most recent budget, we voted to add a traffic deputy, motorcycle traffic deputy, because traffic or speeding seems to be a big concern of residents. And, it just really seems to be a problem in Lemon Grove. So he hasn't come duty, and I don't have any female motorcycle officers right now. It doesn't mean there will never be one. Bare bones.
You're breaking up again, Jennifer. There you are. What was that last thing you were saying?
Oh, I was just going to say, our lieutenant has told us that, we are stretched pretty thin in
Lemon Grove. I've heard that before. But Jennifer is breaking up a lot, so I'm going to go ahead and move to Alysson and see if she has anything that she would suggest or clear. Hold on, buddy. Or add, or what is your take on the policing in this community?
So one of the issues that I've seen, and when I've spoken with like the fire department and with the sheriffs, they spend so much time dealing with homelessness issues or mental health crisis issues for which they are not adequately trained. It requires a lot of expertise, medical expertise, training to be able to deal with, drug addiction, mental health issues. And a lot of those are really exhausting our police officers' time. So they can't focus on the kind of violent crime issues where police are more appropriately trained and have the ability to control those situations. And so one of the things I would say is that we need to increase our civilian efforts to deal with homelessness, outreach, mental health issues, and those kind of things, and take some of the burden off of our police department, because people don't know what to do when there's a homeless person who's having a mental health crisis or a drug-related issue. And so people just dial 911. They don't know what else to do or who else to call. And so if they have those kind of resources and we're able to work with the civilian population to do that, I think that would be a better solution to what we're dealing with now. And then the police can do what they do best and try and keep our community more safe. And I think that, we're going to have to make investment in the sheriff's a priority. I think that we have too few people. And I think when people are overworked, it's difficult. We also have discrepancies. We share a contract with other cities, and our people in Lemon Grove are paid less than sister cities. So it's really hard to keep good people here in Lemon Grove when they could just go over to La Mesa or El Cajon and make 20% more. So we have to look at those issues and make sure that we're comparatively paying our officers so that we can keep good people. We like it when our officers are here. We like it when they're at the food distribution helping out there, and then they can meet our people, see our people, and know our people, and hopefully that helps assuage some of the difficulties that we've had with between law enforcement and the community at large. We're a very diverse community, and we really have to keep in mind the issues. And it's been a very short time since we had major issues in our communities, but for the grace of God, like Lemon Grove came out all right in those, but it's still an issue that needs to be addressed, and that comes with training, education, and we really have to invest in that to make our police force stronger or better suited. Yeah.
Thank you. And I like the correction there, the better suited, because I do think that's important. We don't necessarily need, anyways.
Yeah.
Seth, what is your question, Mr. Smith?
So I have a question on our housing efficiency. I know Lemon Grove passed I'm blanking on the name now. Environmental plan. It's actually a name for it, and I'm blanking on that. I had it a moment ago. As part of our planning commission,
Climate action plan.
Yeah, thank you, Jennifer. That's Lemon Grove has passed a climate action plan. As a planning commissioner for the city of Lemon Grove, I voted to approve the climate action plan and send it up onto city council for their approval. And what I am unsure about is how much of it we've actually done. I know that we've had other priorities, but at the same time, buildings are a significant part of our carbon footprint, especially as a city. It's one of the things that we can control. So what can we be doing moving forward? We're in a period right now. We have the storage facility is just about done being built. We have apartments coming in towards New Jersey, and I believe, apartments on New Jersey, and there's another project coming up on Broadway where we're seeing people willing to invest in our community, willing to put in new construction, do some redevelopment, and that is great for our tax revenue. It brings people to Broadway. It helps the businesses that we have in Lemon Grove. But what are we doing for those new construction projects to help us fight this climate crisis that we're in? We're in a historic drought, and how do we do our part to square that circle to where we can try to fix things? So I'm wondering, is there any parts of the climate action plan that specifically have interested you, or any ideas that you have of your own on things that we might implement for new construction or even retrofitting of the current housing stock we have in Lemon Grove to help us in that situation?
Jennifer, are you with us? Okay, let's start with Alysson.
So some of the things that we can do to help with the carbon footprint is to make sure that when we do add additional housing, that we're adding it around the transit corridors, so close to the trolley stations, to encourage people to use the trolleys, use the bus system, and use less gas, and that's helpful. Most of the new construction is required to have solar, and so making sure that everything has solar on it, being creative about where we place solar panels and encouraging solar panel use, incentivizing people to be able to transition easily to electric vehicles, I think would be good. making, I know Seth, you had an idea before about putting electric charging stations, supercharger stations in our downtown district to encourage people to stop there, shop for a couple hours while their car is charging, and then head back on the freeway after they've left their money here in town. And I thought that was a great idea. But yeah, I think we have a long way to go to making sure we can keep our community as green as possible.
All right, I'm gonna try this again. To me, the climate action plan is it's not retroactive, it's proactive. So what kind of policies are we going to put into place as we approve projects going down the line? And that's approving denser projects near public transportation, requiring like the Celsius project does have electric chargers for their cars. We can require more of that or encourage more of that as we go along. Encourage more projects to include street trees, walking paths. Some of the new projects that have gone in are LEED certified projects, if you know what that is. They're certified green projects. Both Citronica projects were LEED projects. I believe the storage units were also a LEED project. So these are the types of things that we're looking at requiring. Also, we've been looking at an ordinance to require all future construction to be all electric, no more gas. And that, some council members are in favor of that and some are not. But, again, that's not something that we would go back and make people do, that it's something going forward that all projects would have to be all electric. So those are just some of the things that would help advance our climate action plan.
And thanks to both of you, that the all electric housing is actually one of the foremost things in my mind, because one, that is going to help our carbon footprint, and two, it actually makes your new buildings less expensive to build. You're no longer putting in gas pipes, using that trade, designing those systems. And so we could also make ourselves more attractive to developers that way, if we're saying you don't have to put in this whole other system for your projects. And LEED, in case anybody doesn't know, is Leadership in Environmental and Energy Design. It's, I believe it's a federal government standard.
Thank you. I figured you would know that, so I didn't butcher it.
So I don't see any other hands, so I did want to ask one more question, and now it's my child jumped on me, so I'm kind of losing what I was going to say. I'm trying to think of my quiet, please. I was trying to think of my path to the question, because I was thinking about urban heat islands and how we need more trees, and was going to ask a question about that, but then I thought about something else that I thought was more important. So I was trying to think. Oh, I know what it was. Okay. So Community Power of San Diego, or San Diego Community Power, is kind of like more of a startup sort of thing to kind of offer an alternative to SDG&E. And they're looking to offer competitive green power to some other nearby small jurisdictions by next year. And I'm wondering if Lemon Grove, if they've approached us, or if we'd be willing to to offer clean power here in Lemon Grove through an alternative source other than SDG&E?
You know, we haven't been approached, and I've looked at, you know, some community choice options in the past. It doesn't seem to always pencil out for Lemon Grove, but that doesn't mean that I'm not keeping an open mind about it, and it's not something that could pencil out in the future. It's definitely worth looking into.
Yeah, I think it's definitely worth looking into. And I also know that the Public Utilities Commission and the Contractor State License Board are all working with different SDG&Es and PG&Es to try and come together with different solutions on ways to make clean energy more affordable. All of those I'm taking a very careful look at after you know, the property assessed clean energy financing went into effect, and that was a debacle and ended up, you know, price gouging and equity stripping scheme, and really engaged in reverse redlining, which impacted our community, and people were losing their homes over it. And so I want to make sure that any kind of green energy movement that, you know, tries to finance green energy home improvements, that it's always tethered to an ability to repay requirement, and paying really closely attention to anything that would allow them to throw these things onto their utility bills. So just want to be really careful about how we approach these, really take a hard look at it, and meet with the different industries involved, everything from energy to housing to you know, consumer protection issues, so that we're very careful about how we move forward in this. I want everybody to have solar panels. I want everybody to have an electric car. But I also want people to be able to afford all those things and not get themselves into something they can't afford just because they're trying to go green.
Thank you.